Hi, it's David again, and I wanted to do this video on my sweet wife, Janet. I'm sorry I have so many wives, I have so many kids that I have to take so much of your time to disown. But again, the reason that I'm doing this is that my side of the story has never been told. I'm always the idiot. I'm always the apostate. I'm always not wearing my garments. I'm always the bad dad. Oh, I'm abusive and I'm cruel. Okay, that's what they say. Now let me have my side. Janet was my girlfriend in 7th grade. I don't think I've ever been as crazy about a girl as Janet. I was crazy about her from the moment I laid eyes on her. Through 7th and 8th and 9th grade together. I walked her home from school many times, and she had older boyfriends. Now, I know this is not going to be a popular video. In fact, I may have one daughter just call me up and break the relationship. Get in line! Get in line! This is the truth about your mother. As I've done these videos, I begin to think, God, I sure married women with a lot of problems. Now, yes, I was bipolar. I didn't know that till I was 48, but they certainly had plenty of time with me and plenty of time to say, gee, do I like this guy's personality or not, or whatever. It's not like I married him overnight. So anyway, I had Janet as a girlfriend, and she was always hanging out with older guys, bikers. Here's a 9th grade girl, and she's writing Danny Redarty. I remember him, Danny Redarty. God, he looked like Fonzie. Had a black jacket and a big bird on the back, you know, eagle with the wings spread, and oh my God. And he rode my girlfriend around. What am I going to do? Walk up to him as an 8th grader and kick his butt? He's like 26 years old, and he's still a senior. Jeez. You know those seniors, you don't screw with them. They're killers. So when we went to the pep rallies and we yelled, kill him, kill him, he come to the front. Who, where? So anyway, oh, Danny, oh, what a guy. Well, anyway, she rode around with Danny, and that made me very jealous because I didn't even have a driver's license. How am I going to compete with this dude? I couldn't. So anyway, I was just her friend, and I'd go over to her house, and her mom was there, and you know, we spent a lot of time together as young kids in the neighborhood. Well, once Danny started riding her, if you know what I mean. This is killing me. This is killing me. I haven't thought about this for 35, 40 years. So Danny became her main ride. And it wasn't all motorcycle. I couldn't compete. You know, I couldn't compete. Anyway. She finally ditched Danny. In fact, Danny threatened to not just kick my ass, but to kill me, because Janet started to be a little fond of me as I was growing older. And one night he called me on the telephone and said, I want to meet you. Well, when Jimmy Hoffa says, I want to meet you, that isn't good news. That is not good news. So what am I going to do? I can't hide from this guy at school. And, God, what was that little kid's name? I can't remember it. He was like the right-hand man of Danny Redarty. He did all the kicking your ass. One day, he came up to me at lunchtime because I was sitting with Janet, and he said, after school. Have you seen that movie, 3 O'Clock? Well, there's a couple of them like that. After school. Oh, shit. Oh, God, I'm going to be a dead man. A dead boy. So, after school, I hid behind the damn trash can until the bus door opened, and then it was like Spider-Man into the bus. Saved my ass that day. Well, anyway, dating her and her being fond of me was very dangerous. That should have been a first signal to me. Maybe this girl is not going to be the one I want the mother of my children. But no, I'm a Mormon. Forgive and forget. 70 times 70, turn the other cheek. Well, Anyway, Danny calls me one night and he goes, "Hey, I want to talk to you." I said, "Okay." So I knew he was going to get me no matter what. So I just walked in. So it was night. And he said, "I'm going to meet you in the middle of the road." Now, I wasn't one of the sharpest tools in the shed, but I don't think Danny was even that sharp, because I said to him, "In the middle of the road, or could we just talk on the side?" He's, "The middle of the road." Oh, shit, okay. So I got to dodge cars while he's talking to me. So I meet him, and it's dark. It's after dark. And he comes walking down the double orange line of the road. So I have to go out on the orange line, and it's kind of like two dudes that are going to draw. And I don't even have a gun. So he comes up to my face, and he says, "I really love that girl." And I go, "Well, okay." And he says, "If you don't take care of her, I'm going to kill you." I said, "I'll take care of her. No problem. I'll 100%, like a baby in my arms." And so I said, "How did you get here?" He says, "Well, I was drunk, and I walked the white line, the middle of the road." It came like 20 miles. I said, Dan, you ever thought about getting a car?" So anyway, he turns Janet over to me, and I was very happy about that. And I knew I had to treat her right, and I think Danny is dead now. So even doing this video, I'm a little nervous, but I think he's dead. Or life in prison, I don't know. That's where most of her old boyfriends are. She goes to prison to visit. So anyway, we went through high school together, and then pretty soon, she was 16. Oh my gosh. This girl is fabulous, beautiful. Golly, just in my eyes. Okay, just because she had no ears and no nose, that didn't slow me down. I'm just shitting you. Anyway, she gets this 21-year-old boyfriend, Tim. Now, she's 16, and Tim, he's not a biker. He's just a screwer. He was a university, I think, professor or adjunct professor at UCLA. Well, again, I'm just watching this because I still don't have a car. I have a learner's permit, and that was for sex. That wasn't to drive the car. So anyway, he's starting to date her, and we're still close friends, and I'm talking to her in the evening, and sometimes we went for walks after night and dark, and we were good friends. And then she confided in me that she had been to Mexico for an abortion. Well, now, I'm a Mormon, I'm going, abortion? What is an abortion, And she's 16 years old. And so I didn't make a big deal out of it. I guess I was born a counselor. I just accept people for what they say. "I'm going to kill you." Okay, here I come. So then there was a couple of other times. I think she was 17 right in there. And now she had been to Mexico 3 times. I think she'd had 3 abortions. And Tim paid for her to go to Mexico. Now, this is before, all you young people watching, there was no civil rights for women. Their bodies belonged to men. And we would not let them get abortions, and whether, it didn't matter. So he sent her to those abortion clinics that were dangerous down in Mexico, Tijuana. And so she started her life off that way. Well, I went off because I was at BYU. I was white and delightsome. It didn't matter if you were an asshole. You could, as long as you had white skin and you were delightsome, you were, in the in crowd. And so I married a girl. I haven't done a video on her because I'm not sure she deserves a video. She was a good little wife, Janice. She was a good little wife. And I screwed up in that marriage a little bit. Well, perhaps a lot. But I think I put that on another video. But anyway, Janet went off and married somebody. His name was Chuck. And I went off and married another person, Janice. And we both had babies, and we both had girls. And I come home from BYU and visit my parents. And she'd come over, just like she always is, like a sister. And she'd bring Monica. And I would bring Michelle. And we let the little kids play with each other and have fun and whatever. Well, long story short, she gets divorced. I get divorced. And I've never been out of love with that girl. So I offered to come to BYU and live with me. I was the only guy at BYU. There was an adjunct professor that had a live-in girlfriend. They didn't do anything to me because I paid tithing. Anyway, I bought my way out. You know, if you're a Catholic, you can light your way out with candles and the confessionary booth. Confession booth, not confessionary. God, I'm old. Jeez, that's not the right word. So I married her, brought her back up to BYU. Well, I didn't marry her. We were living together at BYU up in Cedar Crest Apartments, a beautiful place that overlooked. In those days, it was the highest vantage viewpoint in the entire valley. And then a couple of months into the marriage, she says, you know, I'm really curious about this Mormonism. I said, honey, that's going to be the kiss of death. You don't want to be curious. So she said, nah, I want to take a few lessons. And, oh, she was a chain smoker. Oh, my God, she smoked all the time. And so I left the building. Every time the missionaries came, I said, I never want to be accused of bringing you into this church. So about 3 or 4 lessons, she brought me a carton of cigarettes, and she said, throw these up in the dumpster. I'm not smoking anymore. Boy, I was shocked. And so I did. And then she came to me a couple of weeks later and said, you know, I've been thinking. now, you guys that are married, you know that sentence. I've been thinking, or we need to talk. It never goes good for the man. Those 2 sentences, you might as well bend over and kiss your butt goodbye, because you're going to listen and she's going to speak, and then pretty soon you're going to pretend you're in the temple and bow your head and say yes. And she'll end it with, happy wife, happy life. Oh, no threat there. So she says to me, David, I think we should get married, or you should move out. Now, this wasn't a fair proposition in a million years. I was crazy about this girl, and don't tell anybody, but Janet and I, we were married 9 years, and this is a secret. Please don't put this out on the internet. We were married 9 years, and we never had sex less than 3 times a day. And I calculated when I divorced her. That's weird stuff, you know. Bipolar people. Let's see. 9,000 times we had sex in a year. And the record was 12 in 24 hours. And she's a beautiful girl and a hell of a sexual partner. Oh my gosh, just a beautiful girl. Well, anyway, when the girl says to me, I think we ought to get married, or you need to move out, I look down at the little general and he says, marry her. Okay. So I did. And, you know, we had a pretty decent life for many years. We were married 9 years. And we did a lot of good things and took the kids to Disney World and had a lot of enjoyable family life. Well, now, again, I want to be fair. Being married to a bipolar person is not easy. It's draining on you. It can be very arduous to continue listening to the bullshit and the ranting and the ravings. And we're in a different box. We're not in the box. We're in a totally different box, the way we see the world. And you can see that from my videos. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if you watch them or not. I could care less. You know, that's the way I am as a bipolar person. So anyway, it was difficult and arduous. I was changing jobs a lot. Mentally ill people have a hard time holding on to jobs. And they'd come up and say, we're going to fire you. And I said, well, you can't fire me because I just quit. You know, that kind of crap. And take this job and shove it. I don't need it anymore. My kids never get hungry. They can just hold their breath. They don't need to breathe either. But anyway, that can be arduous, and I don't want to downplay that. I don't want to downplay that because, when you have sex in 9 years 10,000 times, the girl basically, never wore panties because she knew, hey, here he comes again. So those can be arduous things, and I certainly want to be fair because my grandchildren are going to look at this. I have a great-grandchild coming. But anyway, we were happy, at least I was, for many, many years. And we had 5 kids. Now, I adopted my Monica. Janet had Monica from some bum that abandoned her and Monica, and I adopted Monica. And there's a tape on here that I told Monica to go find her abandoned father. She loves her Mormon church more than me. Hey, let them pay for the adoption and give me my damn money back. But anyway, we had a couple of rough spots, and later there in that marriage, I was working hard, usually 2 jobs, just to support the family. Now I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't care if my kids disown me. And what kids? The only 2 I have left are the basic in the back door there, you know. The truth of the matter was that we were both working very hard just to make ends meet and take care of the kids. Well, one night I came home from work. I was commuting to Orange County from Ojai, California, every day. Use your calculator. And I look around the house and I go, Janet, where are you? And the kids are just, you know, kind of roaming around and what kids do. And finally they said, she's in the backyard. Oh, okay. So I go out in the backyard and here's Janet sitting in a patio chair. Excuse me. And I said, well, honey, you know, are we going to get some supper here? Have you fed the kids? We need to get some baths going and whatever. And she's looking, I guess, at the North Star. I don't know. She might have been a good candidate for Heaven's Gate. Their spaceship never came. And you know what? Hers didn't either. And I said, honey, what's going on? And she says, I can't do this anymore. And I said, you mean sit in a patio chair? No. Well, what do you mean? I can't take care of these kids anymore. Now, again, I'm trained as a counselor, so things don't shock me, or I don't, oh my God, you know, I'm just that way. And so I said, well, honey, this is not a good time to quit. We've got 5 kids in there that need supper, and I was at work. I couldn't cook supper, so would you please go in and cook them supper? No! Okay, well, now I've got shit on the fan. Starting to blow all over the place, and I wasn't going to get into a yelling and screaming match. I have a mom and a wife that quit. I don't think you quit generally being a mom or a dad, but as you know, I've quit being a dad to several of my kids that really would rather have a different dad called Joseph Smith. So let him have him. Let him have him. You know, Joseph will get them all in bed too if they're 14. So I went in and I cooked supper for the kids, and I tried to calm her down and talk to her through the evening, and did the best I could, but I had to go to work the next day at 4 a.m. and drive to Orange County. I think it was an hour and a half in one direction, an hour and a half back. And when I don't know if it was 1 day, 3 days, it doesn't matter. It's the principle. I came home from work, and the kids aren't there, and she's not there. And I'm going, what the hell? Where is everybody? Because we only had one car in those days. And there's a note on the table. I mean, this is like a Perry Mason movie. So I go over and I look at the note, and the note says, Dear David, you need to change a lot, or we're not coming home. I go, what the hell? Where did this come from? Because she's never said anything to me, basically. So I had to search. Jeez. You're not going to believe this story. This is as crazy as the... I always married mental people who joined the Mormon church for safety. I didn't know. So I've tracked her down, and she was living with a girlfriend up in, oh God, I can't think of the name of the town now, Northern California. And I said to her, I said, Janet, I said, you don't have to love me. That's not a requirement in my marriage. But I have children. You don't have a right to just take the children. Yes, I do. Well, at that point, I said, no, you don't. So I found, now this is shit. Don't tell anybody that I did this 25 or 30. Don't spread it on the internet. I found out where she lived and where my kids were. And in those days, the laws were very different on custody and kidnapping. Boy, these days you pull this, you're going to spend some time in jail, but not in those days. So I got a car and I rented it, so no one knew that I was there. And I got a cowboy hat, which I never wear hats, but I had a cowboy hat. So I thought it was a disguise. That's how stupid I was. I thought just a cowboy hat. They won't know me. God, I was was stupid. I was stupid marrying these people. Well, anyway, I waited for the right time, and I dashed into that house, kicked the screen door open, and I grabbed the baby. Now, Dan was about 8 months. And so I snatched him, put him in the car, and then I took the rented car, and then I dumped it, just like a criminal. I dumped the rented car, threw the cowboy hat in a dumpster, and drove him back to my house. Like, they're not going to know where he is. I didn't have anywhere to take a baby. So I took him back home, and I started, of course, I was always able to nurture small children and feed him and whatever. And so I repeated that raid like Indiana Jones, and I grabbed, I forget, the 5-year-old and dragged her out and took her home. Pretty soon, Janet calls me and she says, you know, I can't live like this. And I said, good. I said, you know, and she said, well, come and get the girls. And I didn't know if I was supposed to get Monica. That was also Janet's daughter that I adopted, and I didn't know. So I said, let me talk to Monica, the one that I just disowned. And I said, honey, do you want to come and live with Dad, or do you want to stay with Mommy? She says, I want you to come and get me. I said, okay. So I came, got the rest of the kids. Now, this is the hardest job I ever had in my life, and I've had some hard jobs. I worked some high-rise construction, and oh God, I can't even tell you some of the crap that I've done to support these kids. And I had to get a babysitter. This is the hardest job I ever had, was being a single dad. Being a single dad was a bitch. You had to work all day, come home at night, then the baby had a bladder infection, so at 2 o'clock in the morning you run to the hospital, you come home, you lay down, she stops crying, you lay in bed, and then suddenly the alarm goes off, and now you're going to the babysitter's, and you got to pack the diaper bag and get all of the food and dress the baby and hope to God the baby is toilet trained, which he wasn't. And I got all kinds of calls 2 hours away, come and get your son, he's crapped his pants again. So, a long story short, we struggled. We struggled. My mom wouldn't help us, Mormon. My sister wouldn't help me, Mormon. And so I was trying to find a mother for my kids and trying to date like I had time or energy to do that. But anyway, I got custody of the kids. Finally, the judge gave me total custody of the kids. So now the judge orders Janet to pay me child support. I think it was $500 a month for 5 kids, $100 each kid. And she never paid a cent. Mormon. She never paid a cent. So I was raising the kids, and I got remarried to Jeannie. There's plenty of tapes on Jeannie here. Another real gem. And but I have to be honest here. Not every woman in the world would do what Jeannie did. And so I'm going to defend the truth. I'm not going to defend lies, and I'm not going to spread lies. Janet was really upset because they were going to put her in jail. She needed to send me $5,000 that she was behind and continue. Well, the girl didn't work. She was not lazy, but she just had emotional problems. What Mormon doesn't? What Mormon doesn't? She couldn't hold a job. So I proposed, if you don't want to go to jail, why don't you let Jeannie and I adopt the children? Well, she jumped at that like, you know, a moth to the flame. Oh, okay. I don't want to be a mother. Go ahead, take my kids. Okay, so we went through the legal process, and Jeannie, and a good thing about Jeannie, and a kind thing. Jeannie didn't have to do this, but she did. So Jeannie adopted those 5 kids, and then Jeannie and I had, I don't know, 3 others or something. And the kids basically grew up. Now there's going to be some kids to go, oh, Dad, you kept us away from our real mother. Well, you know what a real mother is? It's a mother that goes to work every day, comes home, shares her incomes, fixes you breakfast and lunch, washes your damn clothes, takes you to the dental appointment, takes you to the medical, takes you to the emergency room when you're hurt, and tucks you in at bed at night. That's a mother. I'm sick. I'm sick of people saying to me, oh, she's blood. She's blood. Blood my ass. A mother and a father is the person who cared for you, who protected you, who loved you. And at night when you were afraid, Monica used to come dragging her little blanket into our room every night when she was scared. Jeannie and I. And Monica used to stand by the dryer when I washed her blanket because she would watch it. She never let go of her blanket, but she'd watch it go around in the dryer. So a parent is somebody who really loves you, supports you, and sacrifices for you. Well, the story now is, and I'm just telling you my side of it, you can talk to my kids, and I'm willing to put anyone's video right up here beside mine. If any of these people want to respond and say what a terrible dad I was, I'll put the video right up so you guys can make up your own minds. Well, pretty soon we're having financial difficulties raising, I think we had 6 or 8 in the house, Jeannie and I. And at Christmas time, we did a lot of garage sales at Christmas. The kids got nice presents, but they were garage sale presents. Well, here comes the USP truck, what Brown can do for you, right? Well, let me tell you what Brown did for me. He brought all of these great, big, nice, beautiful Christmas presents in, all brand new. And it said, from Mommy Janet. Well, now, first of all, when I'm married, I'm very, very defensive, and I'm very protective of my children and my wife. And I wasn't going to have Janet saying that she was the mother and Jeannie had to work full-time and support these children that we adopted. And then we had no fancy presents, but all these fancy presents came in from Janet Mommy, well, the one that let us adopt all our children. I sent them back. Didn't even open them. Sent them back. And I said, you know what? Give these to whatever, Salvation Army. Oh, my kid, I have one child who's going to disown me after I do this tape because this is public. And I'm telling you the God's truth. She can cut it and turn it and twist it and do whatever Mormon words she wants on it. But I did send the damn presents back. I thought it was an insult to my current wife, and I wasn't going to accept it. And I wasn't going to have all my kids going, oh, we have a Christmas mommy, and she's better than you because she gives us new presents. My kids were very young in those days. So I take full responsibility for that. Well, Janet then left the church, probably the best thing she ever did, and she began again smoking and drinking and chewing tobacco. Now, I mean, I told you I was crazy about this girl, but girls that choose tobacco and use a spittoon, I'm not one of Joseph Smith's friends. I don't go for the spittoon. So I didn't think Janet was a very good example. She gave her kids up for adoption. She says, and the story is now, that she loved them so much, she wanted to give them the best. Well, that may have been true because she wasn't the best. And she was, I don't want to say neglectful, but sloppy. She was a sloppy mom. You weren't sure what the kids were going to get or do. But anyway, I said to my kids, I don't want you having a relationship with her right now. When you're 18, you can do whatever you want. And so when Janet sent letters down, I sent them back unopened. And when Janet called, which wasn't very much, she might have sent 3 or 4 letters and maybe called 4 or 5 times over 10 or 15 years. So again, just a real doll for a mom. So anyway, we all grew up, and I have now a daughter, and she and I have a relationship. She's still LDS, and I'm still atheist, and we still get along. And she's not going to like this tape at all because she has many, many fantasies about her biological mom. Well, again, blood don't mean shit to me. I've always treated, in fact, I had a psychological evaluation in the Philippines, and the psychiatrist said, David is an unusual person because he doesn't see his natural born children any different than he sees his adopted children. That was one of the greatest compliments I ever had. And it was true. I've never thought my adopted children were any different than my other children. So anyway, this daughter has this fantasy, and David, the bad dad, and no garment and sand, and the apostate that worked his whole life off, that sent her on a mission, and the mom that sent her on a mission, and the mom that was an example that was set, Jeannie, that served a mission, and Rachel went on a mission, mostly because Jeannie was an example. Well, Rachel calls me the other day, and she says, guess what? And with Rachel, I don't want to guess. Anything I guess, it's going to be worse when she tells me. Both your arms fell off. Both your legs fell off. Your head fell off. No, Dad, it's worse than that. Okay, what is it? So she called me. She said, well, Dad, you know, I've been thinking that Jeannie is not a real affectionate mother, and I think that she treated her biological children better than she treated us adopted children. Well, I'm going to tell you the truth, okay? And again, I've got no agenda. Good Lord, these people are basically out of my life. I have no agenda. I have to say honestly that I never saw it. I never saw Jeannie treat Janet and my kids, the adopted ones, any different than the three we had together. So in Rachel's mind, am I saying it's not true? No, I'm not saying that that's not the way Rachel feels. It is. I'm saying with a master's degree and living in that family 24/7 and I never could say, oh, you're an adopted kid. You sit over here. You get no diaper. Oh, here's one of my natural kids. Here, you get ice cream. Our family wasn't like that. It never was. But in Rachel's mind, it is, and I have to respect that. Then Rachel says to me, well, Dad, I'm thinking of letting my biological mom, Janet, readopt me as an adult. Now, again, I'm a counselor, and I'm trained not to react in that kind of shit, but my insides just about exploded. And I didn't think she was going to do it, and then she called the other day and said, oh, I've done it. Now, I want my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren and the world to know I didn't approve of that. And I told Rachel, I don't approve of that. I said, you know, Jeannie did her best. And I'm defending an ex-wife now here, but I'm being honest. She took a lot of crap from Rachel, and so did I. Rachel was a more difficult child to raise than some of the others. And Jeannie worked full-time to buy Rachel food, clothing, prom dress, you know, teeth being fixed, whatever. And she was a faithful and a good mother. Jeannie's filthy. She doesn't know how to clean a house, and she doesn't want to. She's lazy as a bear when it comes to that. But all the other nurturance that a child needs, Jeannie was there for Rachel. Now, here's what I think, okay? For Rachel, my daughter, to say, I want to be readopted by my real mom, who didn't do shit for her. As a child, she never lifted a finger to help that baby. I did most of the diaper changing and bathing the kids, feeding the kids. Janet was there a little bit as a mother, but as far as Jeannie and Janet, comparing the two, Jeannie was heads above, way heads above. And so for Rachel to go, oh, my real mom, you took me away from her. I said, yeah, because she's smoking and she's drinking, and we were fanatical Mormons, and I didn't want her to bring the spittoon down to the house, and I didn't think she was providing a good example for you guys, and she put you up for adoption, my friend, because she didn't want to go to work for you. She never wanted to go to work for anybody, and her kids especially. So the truth of the matter is, I told Rachel, we still have a relationship after this video. We might not, but again, what do I have to lose? What do I have to lose? Her mother did do these things. She did put Rachel up for adoption, and Rachel has turned now on Jeannie, the real mom, and has gone and been adopted by Janet. Well, now Janet calls the other 4 children that were adopted and said, well, do you want to be adopted too? Now, I have a problem with this, folks, and it's just me. Maybe it's just me. For a mother who gave up her children and let somebody else do all of the work and all of the money until the children are raised, and then goes, oh, now I want to be a mother. There's no diapers. There's no projectile vomiting. There's no diarrhea. There's no work. I just want you on my birth certificate so I can do my genealogy. Good Lord. That pisses me off. So she can do her genealogy? Mormons are willing to teach their adult children that this is probable and possible and desirable. So my little girl Rachel runs up and gets readopted, and I guess now Janet can do her genealogy, but the other 4 said, no, screw you. Jeannie was our mother. Jeannie took care of us, and we're not going to betray her. Well, I was proud of those kids. I was very proud of those kids. And they talked to Janet and Jeannie, and the other 4 kids go, no, that's not right. Rachel wants to do it, that's fine. So here we are at this date of the writing of this, recording of this video, that I've just been informed in the last month that Janet has a new daughter, and her name is Rachel. And yeah, Janet gave birth to her, but after that, Janet didn't do shit. Jeannie did, and Jeannie should get the credit for that. I believe in calling a spade and giving credit where credit is due. So Rachel is LDS, Janet is LDS, Jeannie is LDS, and this makes sense to them. Sorry, to an atheist, it's insanity, it's betrayal, and it's ungodlike. To me, it's evil. Sorry.